in this segment, I think it would be beneficial if we went back to this sheet here that we just went through, and this sheet we used. What f value from the table do you need? And I'm gonna show you how we would set each of these problems up in terms of the probability distribution in the drawing if we were actually going to do this. So. Just as a review, hopefully you've already seen the YouTube clip that detailed how to use the table in order to pick the correct f value. Item number one, we determined that the appropriate f value from the table was 3.88, and again in the previous clip, I went through how to choose that, how we went about choosing that value. According to problem number one, and again, please have this sheet handy. According to problem number one, we are testing this hypothesis at the 0.05 level, or testing or comparing groups at the 0.05 level. So there's my f probability distribution. I indicate the tail. We're testing this hypothesis at the 0.05 level, so that means that's how big the tail is, 0.05, and the body 0.95. And then I'm going to switch to a pen because these markers, as you can see, are pretty wide. The legend for this would be degrees of freedom between equals 2, degrees of freedom within equals 12, like that. df between, and I abbreviated between, df within, and I also abbreviated within. If you want to say df numerator and df denominator, that's fine too, as long as you're just clear about it. And then our alpha level is 0.05, like that. So that's our legend, right? I referred to a legend in previous exercises dealing with t. And then our tabled f value, which we've already determined, is 3.88. So that's how this problem would look like, that first problem, number one. That's how it would look like if we were to set this up as a probability distribution. Okay? Let's do another one, the second one. All right? In the second one, we've already determined we've got 4 groups. We've got a total of 23 cases. We determined from the table that the critical f value from the table is 5.01, and we have been asked to test the hypothesis at the 0.01 level. So I'm just going to take a moment and set that up step by step. The f probability distribution, the tail. We were told to test this at the 0.01 level. So that's the size of the tail, that's the size of the body. Switching over to a ballpoint pen. Degrees of freedom between equals 3. Degrees of freedom within equals 19. Alpha level equals 0.01. I'll put a box around that, like that. Degrees of freedom numerator, degrees of freedom denominator, size of the critical region or alpha level. And last but not least, here is where our critical or tabled f value would go. Okay, so that's number 2. I'll go ahead and label these number 1, number 2. Let's do the third one. All right. We've already determined, let's see, we're testing the hypothesis at the 0.05 level. We've determined that the critical or tabled value we need is 2.84. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the f probability distribution. I'll do this step by step. That's the probability distribution. We were asked to test this at the 0.05 level. Our legend is going to be degrees of freedom between, or numerator, equals, this is number 3, equals 4. Degrees of freedom within or denominator equals 21. And our alpha level is 0.05. And our critical value is 2.84. Right? Oops, I didn't put a box around my legend. Okay? F probability distribution, 0.05 critical region, 0.95 body. The legend, degrees of freedom numerator or treat is 4. Degrees of freedom denominator or within is 21. 4 and 21. Our alpha level is 0.05. That is all the information that we used. That's the information we used to pull the tabled F value, 2.84. And that's number 3. Let's do number 4 real quick. We already determined 4.68 is the tabled F value, and then again in the previous YouTube clip we walked through how to choose that. Just one step at a time. F probability distribution, our picture, our tail. We were asked to test this hypothesis at the 0.01 level. So that's how large the tail is, 0.01. Our legend is, let's see, degrees of freedom between equals 3. Degrees of freedom within equals 25. Alpha level equals 0.01. Right, that's our legend. Degrees of freedom numerator of 3. Degrees of freedom denominator of 25. And a alpha level or critical region of 0.01. All that information in the legend led us to a tabled F value of 4.68. That's how that would look like. And that's number 4. So you now hopefully have a pretty good handle on how to set up the problems. All right? The use of the F table, choosing the correct F value, all the issues related to the probability distribution, drawing the F probability distribution, creating the picture, charting the appropriate information, including the legend, the tail, the size of the tail, and the T value. Now, the only thing left to do is how to calculate data-generated F, because that's really the only thing that you need in order to determine whether you reject or retain the null hypothesis. And so that's what we're going to do in a little bit.